Today we have with us Elsie Choi from CJ ENM. Am I saying that correctly, Elsie?
Yes,
Oh.
correct.
I'm Kristen Hodges from SPA, and today I would like to acknowledge the Darramuggle people, the traditional custodians of the land where I am. I'm humbled every day by this incredibly beautiful land that I walk through. I acknowledge the people's continuing connection to land, to the waters around me, and community. I pay my respects to the people, the culture, and elders of that community, and to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people on this call today. Thank you, always was and always will be. Um, Elsie, welcome.
Thank you. That was
Yes.
so beautiful, by the way.
Can we start with sort of a brief background of what you do at CJ ENM?
Absolutely. Um, so CJ ENM is the Korean multimedia conglomerate. Um, I had the scripted TV group for CJ ENM America. We're through family relations related to the Samsung Group, actually in Korea. Um, so this is their entertainment and media arm, which has been around for a little more than 30 years. So I'm based in Los Angeles, and I spearhead the global English language scripted series department. And so that covers North America, UK, Australia, New Zealand. I also do projects that are considered global, like local for global projects in Asia as well, mostly in Korea, but we're expanding into other areas of Asia as well. Um, our slate is comprised of half of it comes from, excuse me, adaptations of our film and TV library for English language. And then the other half just is comprised of originals or it's based on IP, basically projects that you would set up through any independent US studio. So we can serve as a creative producer, a non-writing EP, or we can be a co-financier, co-studio. So it really runs the gamut.
Hmm.
And it really depends what is best for the project. That's how we decide what position we'll take.
That's quite a significant remit.
It
How,
is.
do you have a big team? How do you juggle all
I
of
do. We're a small but mighty, but very efficient team. I have VP, Courtney Tarrington, who she and I used to work together at Rideback, which is Dan Lynn's production company that he had, and then he left to go run film over at Netflix. She was there for 8 years. I was there for 4 years, and we overlapped, and so we have a really good um, kind of rapport that we call it. Like a no look pass that we're able to do when we work with each other, which is fantastic. And then we have a manager of television, Alice Losk, who also started at Ryback, but on the feature side. And then she left to go serve as the showrunner's assistant to Lisa Joy and Jonah Nolan. Uh, and then she went to Littlefield, the Littlefield company, Warren Littlefield's company, and was there. And then I also have a senior coordinator, Sharon Kim, who's amazing. She came over from MGM and on Lindsay Sloan's desk, who heads that team. And then we have a BA executive who came from Big Disney. So yeah, it's a great team.
a lot between you? What has changed over the past year in terms of your priorities? And what are you looking for, 2026 and beyond, particularly in relation to the Australian market?
Absolutely. I think we've, especially here in Hollywood, with the consolidation and the two strikes that we managed to somehow live through, um, it, for me, the expansion is in the global marketplace. So we work both domestically here in Hollywood, but we also spend a lot of time bridging cultures between the other international markets that we are investing our time and money into. Um, you know, I have had the pleasure of working with a handful of Australian storytellers. So we have some projects on our slate that we've been developing. And I just find the caliber of talent to be exceptional. And so that after those two experiences, I decided I really wanted to invest some more of my time and energy in physically being there to get to know not just the storytellers, but the producers as well. Because when I focus on those different markets that we work in, I really like to lean on the producers and those companies that are on the ground there. I know that they will have much stronger relationships than I could ever have because I'm not physically there and don't have years of experience there. So I really do vet those producers and those companies to ensure that I'm working with the best partner possible, and then bring my goals to bring whether it's development expertise, creative producing expertise, or development monies to the table, or even production financing, because that's what I can offer. And hopefully, my partner, who has the excellent relationships on the ground, we can use that together to get projects made.
Um, is there anything that when a producer is coming to you, is there anything that in terms of materials or approach that you like to see that works best for you?
I'm quite open. I think probably because it's not just me, but the rest of the team. We have historically been on the producing side. So this is my first job as a studio executive. So I really have been on the creative producing side for my entire career. So when I look at projects, I look at them at all stages. It can be from a short story writer. It could be a writer that puts together a one pager and they've been thinking about an arena that's really interesting to them, or a core relationship. If they're really into sisters and they've been wanting to do a show about that, it runs the gamut. Sometimes, if I read a sample and I get to know a creator, writer, showrunner, and I really love their voice, I'll even say, we have some formats I'd love to send you, or we have a book scout that we work with, who scouts for Apple as well as MRC. And I'll say, what is it that you're looking for? Maybe we can join forces, and I can tell my book scout, you're looking for something like this. So it's very fluid, and it really is kind of like how you would work with a creative producer.
It sounds very adaptable to every scenario.
Yeah, it is, because at the end of the day, I'm just wanting to invest in voices. That's really what it's about, and other producers, because I really respect great producers.
What are the elements that are the most critical? I mean, obviously the usual stuff of casting and so on, and great scripts and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. But what are the things that for you are drop dead critical that need to be attached before a project comes to you?
Um, I will always come back to the writing, especially because in TV it's so important. IP is great as well, but I'm equally interested in original voices. Um, so it's probably those two buckets are the main buckets. I think partly because I'm married to a writer, so I have such a deep respect for them. When I was at Ryback, I ran an incubator for 4 years there with MRC, where I worked with showrunners and paired them with first-time creators. So writers really are kind of the heart of television for me.
Yeah. Rose are the heart of it all, aren't they? What do you think makes a project the perfect fit for CJ ENM as opposed to being, oh, this is really for someone else? What do you look at?
Yeah,
Oh my God, this is so for us.
yes, definitely. At CJ ENM America, K-dramas, I don't know if you've seen any K-dramas, but they're genre and tonal mashups. That's even when you look at K-pop also, they're genre tonal mashups. So Koreans have I think a superpower in that and bringing that to the world. So Parasite, which was a movie that we had produced, that is director Bong's version of a family drama, but it has black comedy and grounded horror, and in one moment you don't know if you should be scared or laughing at the same time. So everyone on the team, we actually came together very organically because we all have that same love for genre and tonal mashup. So that's really the CJ brand and what we like to see on our slate. We typically don't get as excited about dramas that are just straight down the middle. We like to have those mashups in there. It makes it surprising, it makes it emotional, and therefore, that's why we lean in.
That
I
sounds.
will add that at CJ ENM America, we also are the majority owner of a company called Fifth Season. And so they're the company behind Severance, See, Chief of War, Nine Perfect Strangers. So I have a synergy slate with Fifth Season as well, in addition to my slate. And then we're also a minority equity owner of Skydance, which is now Paramount TV Studios. So we also have a synergy slate with them. So in terms of why it's so important for E&M America to define their brand, it's because I have other slates that I'm working on where they also have their own brand and kind of their own sensibility. Um, and I decide which project to put, to partner with which studio based on strategy, but also the taste of the particular studio executive at each studio. That's really what it comes down to, like their individual taste, their relationships, and who I think might be right for it, taste wise.
At that moment in time.
Yeah, exactly. With a revolving door these days. Yes.
Um, do you prefer writers and producers to come to you through, if they're coming through an Australian company, a major production company, or do you prefer them to come direct to you?
So far it's been both ways through production companies as well as agents. So, yeah, the agents have been very helpful in flagging both here stateside, but also um, like I'll work with the UK agents who also rep some of the Australian writers. So it's been going back and forth that way. Yeah.
Um, what Australian broadcasters or partners do you currently have relationships with?
So we've pitched to Stan, to Amanda Duthie over at Netflix. We're pitching HBO Max soon. Their office is out of Singapore that we've set that one up, but it's for the Australian market. ABC and Foxtel.
So across the board.
Mhm.
Um, uh, when you're considering a project, are you looking at how it will perform internationally, or are you focusing on outcomes in specific markets?
I generally what I like to do is focus on the specific market, the local market that we're in, with the yes, ultimate goal. We all would love our shows to go global, just like when we make K-dramas out of our Studio Dragon, which technically I work for as well. Uh, yes, of course, we would love for those to go global, but you have to cater to the audience and the executives in that local market.
And how do you approach that? When you're dealing with a market that you're not directly in, how do you
Yeah,
approach understanding
yeah.
those? Um,
Absolutely. I find that I just ask a lot of questions of the producers. Same with the buyers. I also work with our sales team because our K-dramas have been traveling very well, and our sales team has done an amazing job of literally flying around the world about six to seven times, doing all these meetings. So I also try to get intel from them. So I do, every few weeks, I'll chat with them and ask them how the K dramas are performing, but also what the insights are and as to maybe why they're not, why certain ones are not performing, why other ones are. But it is a lot of, I would say, research and talking to people in the marketplace to find out, what's going on there. And then, sometimes it's just you get inspired by a voice, you get inspired by an idea, and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens.
Is there in your dream scenario, what's your ideal pitch look like? What does it feel like?
Oh my gosh. I would say I've uh, I think it was last week I was talking to the team and we do this thing where we go over our slate and I realized that uh our current slate, all of the projects for the most part, except for maybe two or three, have a really strong romance and core relationship um, at the heart of it. Of course, all TV does, but it runs the gamut of epic romance to we have one project with probably one of the biggest showrunners who's working with us on it. Where it's about these two souls who have crossed paths, and there isn't a sexual or romantic relationship there. It's just about these two souls who happen to meet each other at the right time in the right place, and they go on this incredible journey from darkness to light, from despair and regret to hope and changing their lives. And that's what I mean by that, like, core relationship there. But um, the idea being that I find myself looking and leaning in into projects that have this entertainment with a big E, the emotional roller coaster, the sense of wanting to return to see if the characters fall in love, or how are they going to get through their day if they have this yearning and regret that they're filled with. It's those kinds of stories that we're really leaning into. Um, but I guess the broad bucket would be some element of romance. We do genre mashups, though, right? So, like, the epic romance has time travel. It's set in World War II. It's got a bit of action thriller in there. So, but at the heart of it, like, the thing that I think will get everyone coming back is the epic romance in there. So, yeah.
Always about the relationships.
Yes, exactly.
What's an immediate mentally when you're sitting in a pitch? What's an immediate thing that happens that people do, and you're like, ugh, no.
It's a good question. Um, I I think it's really important to think about the person you're pitching and think about what is it that you think that they're looking for that they need? Because we hear pitches all the time, and the buyers, I mean, the number of pitches that they're listening to on a daily basis is insane. So they, as well as I, we kind of know in the first 5 minutes whether or not we have a connection with the person, we have a shared POV, if it's something that we want to dig into. And I think a lot of it comes down to, do they have a sense of, one, what is it that we're looking for, and does it scratch that itch? And then you can talk about why you're the perfect person to tell that story. Sometimes I think when you just start with why you're the perfect person, I'm still not getting a grasp of why this is a story I should be spending my time on and how it fits with our brand.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, uh, is there anything that you would like to, when you're meeting new people, particularly as in this at Screen Forever, is there anything that you would like people to understand or to know that we haven't talked through yet?
Yeah, I will say, what I like to say is that soap is not a dirty word. Like, soap, I think it sometimes gets a bad rap, but for us, soap has such juicy drama and conflict in there. that we embrace that. We really, really do. Um,
The
yeah,
audience loves that. They don't want to say
yeah.
that, but they love it.
I know. It's true though. It's so true. Kind of has
We are the audience
a
also.
negative connotation to it, but we love it. We think there's something so fun and juicy and you can say stuff with soap actually. You can get away with a lot with soap if you do it right. It's a good
Yeah.
balance.
If anyone has any questions, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A and we can answer those. Sorry, I should have said that at the start. Please feel free to jump in. A couple minutes left. Sorry, we've almost come to the end, but if you do have anything, please yell. Um, one thing that I wanted to ask is around packaging.
Yeah.
Do
Oh
you
yeah.
do you like things to come to you in terms of packaging? And when I say packaging, I'm
Yeah.
talking about finance and cast, really.
Yeah, I find that packaging is so specific. Because packaging at the end of the day, when I think about casting, it is brand specific. Like, um, what talent works on linear may not work for certain streamers. Like what could work on Netflix will not necessarily work on Apple and vice versa. Um, or for linear channels, they are very specific as well versus the global streamers. So when it comes to packaging, I'm always open, but I will say that it's not a guarantee that your project is gonna sell just because you have a certain talent attached. It's so tough with talent, I would say.
Do you
Yeah.
like to be part of that process of putting that together, or is it easier for you if
I
it comes?
Yeah, that's why I do a balance of pitches and commissioning scripts because when you have a script, then it's so much easier. But then when you have a pitch, you typically won't be packaging that. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll see if I can bring on a great director early on because some of them also want to get invested and um, be involved in the very early stages. So sometimes that can help if you get a really big director. But typically, like with the season, they like to package generally. It kind of depends. We're quite flexible. It really depends on the project. It depends on the timing of when you go out with the project. So there are a couple of factors that we take into consideration.
Um, Karina, you start, that means there's a question.
Hello, hi. I'm here to help deliver some
Hi.
of the questions from our audience. So from Laura, we had a question to say, what do you have a budget range that you like to work in? Like what kind of commitment do you make and what do you like to see in place?
Yes. So in terms of um, would that be for development or is that for co-financing?
I
Is
think
there
in terms of what sort of scale of project.
Yeah, I mean, we run the gamut, I would say, from, the lower end of the budget, depending on the market that we're in. But then also because we have some bigger projects domestically, they're quite high. So
Can
it really runs the gamut, I would say.
do you have a sort of rough range for in terms of the Australian market that you is the sweet spot?
Yeah, in terms of Australia, it's kind of what your typical budget range is, and we like to stay in that. Just because the idea is like we want to have returning series, and the more the more expensive it is once it comes to that time where you're being judged on your viewership and balancing out like how much it costs to make it. We all have to be fiscally responsible. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's always a dance.
indeed. Um, Muffy asked, how do you, can you describe how you finance and work as a non-writing EP on Australian projects?
Yep. So we can commission scripts or invest in IP. And then we can serve as co-studio on projects as well. So we have a project that we're doing with Dream Chaser with Monique Keller and Elizabeth Middleton over there. And yeah, we're going to co-studio on that one.
Do you have a preference on episodes or
Yeah, it's usually in the 8 to 10 range that we like. And we'll focus on, again, returning series, not limiteds.
yeah. All right. Are there any more questions, Karina, or is that everything?
That's it. That's all the questions we have.
That's perfect timing.
Or just as Laura just asked in terms of episodes, half hour or hour? How long would the episodes?
We lean into 1 hour, but we are open to, I would say, light 1 hours as well. Anything that tends to be traditional half hour firmly sits in that comedy bucket, which is it's a little harder because it doesn't travel as well. So yeah, we'll lean into the light 1 hours and the traditional 1 hours. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much, Elsie. We're looking very forward to seeing you on the Gold Coast in April. The sun will be very warm.
Amazing. I can't wait. It's cloudy here, rainy.
Well, it's cloudy today too, truthfully. All right. Thank you so much. And thanks, everyone.